head around the inside politics table, ask our great reporters to share a little nugget from their notebooks. Julie Pace.
Hillary Clinton's campaign is actively discouraging Democrats from going to Cleveland to protest during the Republican National Convention. Instead, what they're telling Democratic groups who want to have a presence during that week is to use the GOP gathering as a voter registration drive. So you're going to see a lot of Democratic activity around Cleveland registering voters. They're also planning a big social media campaign where Democrats can show voter registration efforts around the country. And this is just another sign that while Donald Trump is really a master at getting attention and will be a master at getting attention for himself during that convention, Democrats are really skilled at these on-the-ground voter registration and field efforts that really prove to win elections.
It sounds rather grown up. Is that allowed? Is that allowed in this election cycle?
Unclear.
Ed?
So anyone looking to see if that Never Trump movement can pull something off before Cleveland should keep an eye on a federal court this week. On Thursday in Richmond, a judge will hear a case brought by a Virginia delegate who says that the rules requiring him to vote based on the results of the March 1 primary in Virginia violate his First Amendment rights. He says it's unconstitutional. But 8 Virginia delegates who support Donald Trump stepped in just last week to say, hold on a second, this guy's trying to pull something at the 11th hour, all in his self-interest. If he really wanted to do this, he should have done it before the primary. The judge will have to rule. There are some Republicans, though, I've talked to who say it might actually be helpful to get a court ruling on all of this before they meet in Cleveland, because so many of the machinations might have to do, of course, with whether or not a delegate has to vote the results of a caucus or primary.
Just what we need. Add the lawyers to this. That's just what we need. Politicians aren't enough. Jennifer?
Well, we're looking for a pretty juicy week in Trump world. So we've got that vice presidential announcement on the horizon. So everywhere Trump goes before the convention, everyone's going to be sizing up that location to see, is this the place that he's going to be announcing? So what we've got for his week, we've got North Carolina on Tuesday. He's going to be going head-to-head with President Obama and Hillary Clinton. They will be in the state doing an event about 4 hours before him. And, you know, this is a place where President Obama is going to be a messenger saying that, you know, this is a woman he respects and she can do the job, whereas Trump doesn't have anyone. He doesn't have a former president saying that. Wednesday, he's going to be in Ohio. So if he happens to manage to land John Kasich as a running mate, that would be a good place. Thursday, he'll be in D.C., where he's meeting with Senate Republicans and House Republicans, cozying up to that establishment and trying to convince him he's more than a party of one. Friday, it sounds like he's going to be down south. And then Saturday, he'll be at a swank fundraiser in the Hamptons, hand in hand with RNC chief Reince Priebus. Also, the co-hosts of this event are some of the biggest backers for Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio.
Follow the candidate. We'll get that pick. Sarah?
Let's just stay in full-on sweepstakes mode since it is the season. And so we're getting this question again of, does geography really matter? Donald Trump is meeting with Mike Pence, and part of that appeal is he's this Rust Belt guy, and he could, you know, sort of bring to the ticket what you might have gotten with a Scott Walker or a John Kasich, 2 other guys who aren't quite interested. But when statisticians look back at over the last half century or so, geography has not mattered. It hasn't mattered one bit, yet it is still something that the Trump aides are considering when they look at Mike Pence. They feel like this Rust Belt state appeal could help Donald Trump as they grow increasingly convinced that his path to victory lies through states like Indiana, through Ohio, through Pennsylvania. But remember, Romney also tried this in 2012, and Paul Ryan did not deliver Wisconsin.
He did not. My first campaign was Dukakis, Boston, Austin with Lloyd Benson. They lost 40 states. Yeah, I'll close with this. The Trump campaign continues to annoy and often befuddle veteran Republican activists in key states. In Colorado on Friday, for example, Trump complained again that state Republicans rigged the delegate selection process against him. Not the way to make friends in what is usually a presidential swing state. And in New Hampshire the other day, activists who supported Trump's rivals in the first-in-the-nation primary, well, they say Trump and his team have done little or nothing to try to win their help. The state Republican Party handled the invites to Trump event there this past week, and the National Party is now stepping in to help with the New Hampshire ground effort. More than a heavy lift is how one veteran New Hampshire Republican described the challenge of making that state competitive in the fall. To prove his point, he said a planned Trump fundraiser in New Hampshire was canceled for a second time this past week, quote, because no one was coming. Ouch.